What is the greatest single movie scene ever filmed? I'm gonna get downvoted, I don't care. Say what you want about The Last Jedi. The hyperdrive kamikaze screen was one of the most gorgeous scenes ever. I don't care what you say. I will never change my mind. I saw it in theaters and was blown away. No sound, black and white. The way the ship completely shatters the entire fleet was insane. TLJ was cool as duck, and had some great ideas. If RJ got to do all three movies, I think they would have been the best trilogy. I blame Disney, but oh well, I hope he still gets to do his trilogy at some point. I bet it's gonna be killer. Frankly my dear, I don't give a damn. The first time Jaws music is played. Godfather 2 when Robert De Niro is walking through his neighborhood. I'm melting. Wicked Witch of the West. Raiders of Lost Ark fight scene on the truck when he goes through the windshield, under the truck, shot in the arm. Someone else said the mall car chase in Blues Brothers, but, my all-time favorite is the scene in the cave from the Guns of Navarone and when David Niven discovers a problem and Gregory Peck and him engage in the greatest extended uncut dialogue scene in movie history. Emo. I don't think there's an objective best, but my subjective choice is The Thing 1982. In general. Maybe I was just that fucking high, but the cinematography made me weep. Not the story or the fear or anything, just. It's an absolutely gorgeous movie. If I had to pick, Thing Bennings getting caught and subsequently getting torched. Maybe not the single greatest scene, but, the first that came to mind was the scene with Moss getting chased by the dog in NCFM. I was reminded of it yesterday. The sun is just starting to come up, the dog swims like a pro, and there's the suspense of him getting the gun ready in time it was wet BC he had also been swimming in. Then single greatest? Man, so much to choose from. I bet if I just think of a one-word name for each, people will just guess the movie. 1. Shower scene. 2. Bullet scene. 3. Training scene. 4. Reveal scene. Personal favorite has to be the dialogue in True Detective SO1. The world needs bad men. In terms of cinematography, maybe Gandalf versus the Balrog on the bridge, or the Jarheads walking through the burning oil fields as the smoke blots out the sun, or the entire execution scene in Green Mile, My Soul Hurts Every Time, etc. There's a lot of contenders. When Colonel Jessup Nicholson is put on the stand in A Few Good Men. Amazing dialogue and tension. The way his character was built up in that movie and previous scenes as a politician, manipulator, and monster adds to the weight of him finally being broken. In terms of just pure acting and iconic intros, the beginning of Godfather 1, where Vito is listening to The Undertaker plead his request. It's just a marvel of acting, improvisation, lighting, music, dialogue, and writing. I'd say a beach landing in Saving Private Ryan. I will forever associate the word cinematography with that specific scene. The wonderful performance from all the actors and soldiers involved is also a big part of it. An old movie called Tora Tora Tora. A plane comes into land and crashes into several other planes. People are literally running for their lives because the scene went horribly wrong, but they left it in the movie. I've always loved the opening of Jackie Brown with Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Tucker. Not a movie, but my favorite thing to come out of the MCU is Loki, Episode 3. The destruction of the Ark scene is amazing. I'm annoyed that the final chase scene in The Last of the Mohicans isn't at the top. Barely any dialogue, amazing music, edge of your seat action, tears, revenge. It's got it all, and it's perfectly executed. The fight scene in Inception where the room is spinning and they're floating. I'm not even really that bothered about the movie as a whole, but I love that scene. I did an analysis on it for an assignment once. This is a great dinner question. So many awesome technical moments, but for sheer greatest moments, which of course need twists. I Am You Father. Or, Statue of Liberty scene in Planet of the Apes. The fight scene with Thanos in Endgame when Captain America stands up, bloodied and beaten half to death. The theater erupted when Falcon said "on your left." I still get goosebumps thinking about it. The final shootout in Once Upon a Time in the Wild West. Hardly a word is spoken for over 10 minutes, but damn is it intense. The art of less is more. Truly great cinema you don't see these days. Shooter when Beatty and Glover's characters get blown up at the cabin in the end. Just when you think the horrible bad guys are going to get away with all their atrocities, bam, justice served. Alec Baldwin's opening monologue in Glengarry Glen Ross. X200B. Edit removed erroneous award. The Ace and Asai Massa flashback in Fellini's 8.5. I can't find the full version. This extract misses the most important part, the last minute. No Country for Old Men coin toss scene. Actually, pretty much any scene in this movie. But this is the one. No special effects. Just pure tension and brilliant acting, writing, direction. The opening shot to A Touch of Evil. Since most people here won't know it, it is one continuous narrative shot with no edits or splices. Rocky Balboa, his last fight with Antonio Tarver. The editing, the overlays of Adrian and Mick, the shots, camera and body. All excellent, and if you're a fan of the movies, meaningful. My favorite scene is the Dahlberg phone call in All the President's Men. No fancy directing, no music, no trickery. Just one incredibly slow zoom on one actor, talking on the phone. A few of my personal favorites: the opening scene from Bela Tar's Saturn Horse, and the creation sequence from Tree of Life. I know a few directors wondered how George Miller shot the chase scenes in Fury Road. Edit for one scene, the long take during the New Year's Eve party in Boogie Nights. Aliens, when Ripley realizes she's stepped into the alien queen's lair with that panning shot in fog and backlighting in the big reveal. The whole standoff was intense. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The big Indian throwing the drinking fountain through the barricaded window as a final FU to the system and then taking his freedom. I really love the scene in Office Space where they destroy the printer. I know it's not the greatest, but having worked in a place like that, it was so satisfying. Opening scene Lapidary Dairy Farm and Inglourious Bastards. Also named Game Bar scene in Shoshanemon's Lunch. Russian Ark. The opening is, I believe, a single take shot that goes on forever. It depicts a pre-revolutionary Russian court and the take is just glorious. True Romance. Chris Walken as a mafia boss interrogating Dennis Hopper's character. Dennis knows he's a goner and manages to insult Walken before being killed. I've actually heard someone claim it's the upside-down cityscape scene in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I have no personal opinion on this topic. A lot of what I'd have picked have already been said. But from modernish times, I've got to add the Charge from the Trenches scene at the end of 1917. The ending of Seven. The whole play of emotions over Brad Pitt's face in the dawning horror. It blows my mind every time I watch it. What an ending! The standoff in The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. It's been copied thousands of times. YouTube. Not into cape shit and into Batman films all, and I'm not into Bravo Nolan, but the place scene intro of The Dark Knight Rises is peak cinema. The origin of Oren Ishii. The story, the music, the animation, perfect. Or the boat scene in Triplets of Belleville for the same reasons. There is no question that the opening wedding scene in The Godfather is a masterful piece of world-building filmmaking. Breathtaking. I always like the scene in A Few Good Men at the end. You want the truth, you can handle the truth. So much emotion on that scene. The final scene in Pink Flamingos. It was all done in one take, no editing to prove it was real. Sorry, don't want to give a spoiler. Last scene between Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg. The Departed. Also, the last scene in the Black Mirror episode Shut Up and Dance. Opening parkour chase scene in Casino Royale with Daniel Craig. He made a fantastic first impression as a new 007 with that scene. Schindler's List. Oscar Schindler looking at the town from his horse where Jews fight for their lives as they're randomly shot. Basic Instinct, interrogation scene. Ironically, second best apartment scene Deadpool 2 after Deadpool gets ripped in half. When the burning bridge collapses and the locomotive crashes into the river and Buster Keaton's a general, no question. For me, it's the opening to The Matrix. They're bringing her down now. No, Lieutenant, your men are already dead. Matthew McConaughey crying while seeing his family going through their lives in minutes in the BGM. Interstellar. Marvel's Avengers Endgame. All the superheroes appear after Sam Wilson said on Yirla to Captain America. Not the greatest, but should be top 10 and I don't see anyone mentioning it. The chariot scene in Ben-Hur. I don't know if it's the greatest, but I can watch the Sicilian scene in True Romance over and over again. The original Korean version of Old Boy. The extended single-cut fight scene in the hallway, elevator, etc. The train heist and the assassination of Jesse James. A visual feast in some of Roger Deakins' best work. Dr. Zhivago, when Yuri was looking at the leaves coming off the birch trees during his mother's funeral. Godfather 2. Don Chicho's villa, when Vito goes back to Sicily. The Crickets. The Great Old House. Russian Ark. If you take the fact it's one continuous long shot to mean a single scene, I would think Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper in True Romance. Also same movie, Gary Oldman's Drexel scene. When Michael Corleone comes out of the bathroom and kills Sollozzo and McCluskey in The Godfather. The coin toss scene in No Country for Old Men. The shootout in Heat. First time I saw it I had to immediately rewind and watch again. Intense. The long uncut scene in Children of Men. Cinematic beauty in such a long scene without a cut. Jaws 1975. The USS Indianapolis monologue is remembered for Robert Shaw's chilling delivery. The opening scene of Inglourious Basterds. Hans Landa at the milk farm of Monsieur Lapadite. Russian Ark 2002. Or any Doma 95 movie where the entire film is one scene. Mind-blowing. When Thunder Gun hangs down in Thunder Gun Express and they show it in all its glory. Terminator 2. When Arnie does his thumbs up while getting enveloped in lava. Iconic. The Sicilian scene in True Romance. As offensive as it is, the acting is so good. First scene that sprang to mind is the coin toss scene from No Country for Old Men. Either the Ride of the Rohirrim or the final fight between Vader and Luke in Rhodes. Car chase in Pineapple Express. I just about shit myself when his foot got stuck. The scenes in Terminator 2 with T-1000 special effects were ahead of their time. Princess Bride's sword fight between Indigo Montoya and the Dread Pirate Roberts. The dream sequence in Dumb and Dumber fight in the restaurant. Lightning fart. Apocalypse Now. The attack of the village to the sound of Warner's Valkyrie. Sergeant Hartman introducing himself to the recruits in Full Metal Jacket. The Martian Starman scene. That scene hooked me for the rest of the film. The end of Casino that has House of the Rising Sun in the background. Talladega Nights when they try to get the knife out with another knife. Cher slaps Nicolas Cage and Moonstruck and yells snap out of it. Single camera shot of Henry Hill going into the Cope and Goodfellas. Ben-Hur chariot race. A scene like that will never be filmed again. That scene between Al Pacino, Robert De Niro in the movie Heat. Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper and Tony Scott's True Romance. The Church Massacre in Kingsman. Colin Firth shot everyone in it. Arnold Schwarzenegger taking the Bikies clothes in Terminator 2.